What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for a daily news show, and it's about Giuntoli. And you will think, that the crazy part was the game again, that we dropped points in that fashion, header, cross, last second again. But that was not even the most shocking thing of the night. It was what Giuntoli had to say pre-game, and I'm not gonna lie, I missed that pre-game because, like I said in many shows, my interest in the club is kind of fading away. So I just sit for the game 1 minute before kickoff. I sit down and I start watching the game. So I missed his pre-game presser, but he made a shocking statement in my opinion, because he said, not literally, but between the lines, he said, actually, Champions League football is not really a must. It's a boost. And I thought he was going to say it's a boost financially, but he said it's a boost because of prestige, basically. So I sat back and I was like, that could mean two things. One, he's actually sacked. Actually, three things. One, he's actually sacked and he doesn't care. Two, Alcon told him, no matter what's going to happen with Champions League, the money will be there because I will inject more money into the club, and we've seen it in the past, just injecting club money in the club to balance out the book so you can spend again. And three, maybe that's why we put in these lackluster performance, a bit cowardice, where Tudor's not really going for it, and you nick the 1-0 with Colomani, and you hope to close it out. So we're going to talk about, because I have the quote, like you can see on the screen, I have the quote right here, but it's very interesting in my opinion. It's actually very, very important as well, So before we do that, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And really quickly, let me know in the comments already, how important is Champions League football for you personally? And I'm not talking about the money, because as a fan, we shouldn't be worried about the money part of getting Champions League football, but that's the reality right now. I just want to know what you think personally. How important is it to get Champions League football? Even if you think, because some think we're not good enough, so it's like, let's just play Europa League because we're just going to embarrass ourselves in Champions League. Or are you on the side of, no matter what, we are Juve, we should be playing in the Champions League, So do that. But let's read out the statement from Giuntoli, because he said, pre-game by the way, he said, we started out with both financial and technical objectives. We believe that next year we will be very competitive regardless. Of course, the Champions League will bring prestige, and would also be a big help from a technical standpoint. He never talked about financial, and actually if you listen what he said, in Italian, it was more about, it helps basically maybe to attract different type of players basically, and it's an added bonus. But he never really talked about that financial thing. And if you believe the rumors, and I don't want to make it about transfers, but Osimhen, Tonali, if it's going to happen or not, whatever, the players who were potentially targeting cost a lot of money, Again, I'm not saying these are the signings we should be making, or these are the signings we should not be making, I'm just talking pure from a from a money perspective. It costs a lot of money to bring in these players. So the fact that he come out said that could be, one, reassuring, because, well, we all scared, that we are going to need to sell a lot of players. Or two, you can be calm about it. Or three, you can be calm about it and still pissed that we are missing out on Champions League football, which is a disaster. A club like Juve should be in the Champions League every single season until you're not on this planet anymore. Like, there should be no way we should be left out of a Champions League in a competition with Inter. Napoli was doing well this season, and Milan, like, we should always be in there, period, no matter what, So that's the other part of it, When you have Tudor post game, and he said a lot of stuff, Tudor, he said some crazy things post game about Atsic, which is extremely sad, and I cannot believe what he did there. But we're going to talk about Atsic, Conceição, and how Tudor, along with Kalulu, messed up the game. We will talk about that later in tonight's live, so I don't want to talk about that too much in this video, so stay tuned for tonight's live, because I have a lot of things to say on that, because Tudor really, really was swinging in his press conference, as maybe that's the reason as well, because he knows actually Champions League is not really a must. Maybe he knows that I actually have a shot if I just keep it respectable to stay on as a coach, even though he shouldn't be staying as well, because he said we only need 2-3 players and this team is good to go. So that's what I'm linking to this, where Giuntoli is like, we don't need a lot of things. We maybe need 2-3 players, and we can do that even without Champions League football, and that team will be winning again, which I'm really doubtful. Besides the quality, the mindset is extremely poor, and 2-3 players are not going to change that, especially not if you're targeting players like Osimhen. I'm not saying he's a bad character or whatever, but he's not a leader, if you know what I mean, and Tonali, if you're going to get, or Sudokov, or the left back from Girona, and I forgot his name right now, like, it's not going to happen. So that's also a wild statement in itself. But I thought it was interesting that Giuntoli really said the Champions League, no matter what's going to happen next season, we believe we're on the right path, and with some adjustments here and there, we will be back, And the Champions League football, cool, prestige, technical standpoint. However, he never really mentioned money. And there are rumors that the club is going to, or Alcon is going to inject more money. But if he's going to do that, then I'm of a strong opinion that Tudor is not going to be the coach. If Alcon woke up and he said to Giuntoli, even if you miss out on Champions League, I will make sure that the money you're going to lose out will be kind of compensated in terms of I will inject it into the club. But I'm going to make the decision on the next coach. That's it. That's the only way I can see Alcon waking up and saying, if you don't get Champions League football, like sporting-wise, disaster. Selling tickets, you're not going to sell out the stadium on a Thursday night playing, I don't know, Karabakh, like with all due respect, Dinamo Bucharest, I don't know. You're not going to sell out the Allianz Stadium on a Thursday at 7 o'clock. Impossible. So that is the issue. But if Giuntoli said that, if Giuntoli says that, it's telling me that Alcon said, Champions League, on the pitch, disaster. Next season, money-wise, in terms of getting it into the club with selling tickets, not as good. However, I will make up for the lost money, revenue, Champions League-wise. But that means, if he really said that, and Giuntoli is kind of alluding to it, that Alcon won't make the decision on the coaching job. And I still believe he wants Conte. If it's going to be realistic, I don't know. I think Conte is going to stay in Napoli. I've listened to Conte's presser where he said, or he was asked about his future, and he basically said, I don't think any Napoli fan is really thinking about that right now. We have 3 games to play. If we win, we're champions. That is the focus right now. So maybe he's serious about it, and maybe he's saying, you know what, I will do those 3 games, then I will step down, and I will ask to leave because I know I can go back to Juve. I don't know. I still think it's not possible, but Tudor is not the solution. I'm really convinced about that. He's not the solution, and Tuttosport and Pjanic and ex-players can come out saying the Juve DNA is back and this is a real team. Remember the Tuttosport article? This is not Motta's team. This team is fighting, and I'm like, it's rubbish. Like, factually, numbers-wise, it's worse than Motta's Juve, and just the eye test, it's poor. Like, there's no improvement. It's really bad. And on top of that, everybody talks about Motta losing the locker room. Tudor's players are actually punching up opponents on the pitch. Yildiz, Kalulu, players who are extremely calm, are punching up players for no good reason in some ridiculous moments on the pitch. So it's clear that Tudor also has no hold of these players, and that's not all his fault. When Motta sacked, I said a lot of these players shouldn't be here. They're uncoachable. They get away with stuff, and that comes from management. They allow players to get away with stuff, So it's a big thing, but for me, it's a shock statement because I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? So financially, it's not really a must for Champions League. It's not really prestige, and you not willing to watch a Thursday night football. So I thought it was crazy and very interesting, scary a little bit. But anyways, let me know in the comments what you think. Also tonight, live show to talk about the game and everything Tudor said and did, because I think we really need to talk about it, because he said certain things about I will sub out Atsic again, and everybody was killing Motta when he said I will bench Yildiz again. You cannot say that when you mess up, And I said at the time, I said you cannot say that being Motta. It's impossible, and being Tudor, you cannot say that. Anyway, that's for later tonight. Stay tuned, like the video, and yeah, thanks for watching. Ciao.